Welcome back. Last hour, I talked to Mike Mason. He worked in the oil industry for years and is now a freight hauler. Mason accuses BP of cheating on testing that's on the blowout preventers, similar to the blowout preventer that apparently hasn't worked in the Gulf of Mexico that's created the mess that we're in now. Well, before I go any further, I want to point out that we did reach out to BP to come on the show, but they said that they're declining comment at this time, noting that there is still an ongoing investigation. Now, back to Mason. He alleges that due to the lack of inspectors, and roughly half of the time, BP would police themselves on weekly tests. This, he alleges, would lead to blatant cheating. Cheating where they would literally create marks on a piece of paper. Marks that the rig, if it were to pass the test, were supposed to create. In other words, there's the test of the blowout preventer. They were supposed to test it for 5 minutes to see if it would do what it's supposed to do and keep its structural integrity. Instead of testing it for 5 minutes, they would test it for 10, 20, 30 seconds, he alleges. Let me replay some of this interview for you. You're saying they cheated on the tests to make it look like their equipment, these blowout preventers, like the one that's caused this mess in the Gulf of Mexico, had integrity when in fact they didn't. Did I get any of that wrong?
No, sir, you did not.
So did you ever bring this to the attention of anyone at the board that certifies these companies that work off the coast of Alaska?
Yes, I did. I testified in a deposition on a different lawsuit, and it was brought to the attention of the AOGC and the state regulated commissions in Alaska, and they did do an investigation.
And what came of that investigation?
It was an internal investigation, and the neighbor's drilling manager admitted to falsifying the test and said that BP company reps and other company reps had witnessed this and okayed it, and that he was fired because he wouldn't turn any of them in or name names.
How often would this happen? Would you say this was an isolated incident that you may have just witnessed because someone got lazy on 1 or 2 days? Or would you say that this was a consistent practice?
Yes, it was a consistent practice. When the state witness was not there, they would do it on a normal basis. I'd say it's a culture. It's time is money. And what they would do is they would do these tests, and they're supposed to last a certain amount of time. Well, of course, they don't when they cheat. So then they would change the books and go on and do other things to be ahead of, for the next drilling process.
You know, some people are going to be listening to you say that you were fired and say, oh, he's just a fellow who's upset at the company and he's going to do anything he can now to hurt them, to get back at them. How would you answer that charge? I'm not saying it's come about yet, but in case it does.
Well, I expect that from BP because that's their culture. I expect them fully to try to smear me as much as possible, but I don't do it for that reason. I do it because of the 11 men that died and because of the culture that BP has and the refineries and 15 people killed there. That's my only concern.